You've selected a show from the Podcast Jukebox, a DIY podcast network.
It's Will Shawn Podcast. The internet cried out for 2 more blowhards, and they courageously answered that call. Armed with the weapon of wit, each week they're joined by guests to discuss movies, television, pop culture, and anything else that's pissing them off. Take it away, boys.
I'm Will Link.
And I'm Sean David.
And this is Will Shawn Podcast.
Even despite our subpar showing at this year's games. How you doing, Will?
Well, there's we were kind of getting into it literally seconds ago off the air, but there's a dog around this apartment.
I don't hear a dog. I don't hear the pitter-patter.
Well, there was a dog pitter-pattering.
He's a good dog.
Finnegan. I got to meet Finnegan.
Finnegan Phillip.
And I'm a little awkward with dogs. I got nothing against dogs, but I'm awkward. Well, that's not true. I got something against some dogs for some reasons. But
Entitled dogs,
spoiling times. But I could be a little awkward with them. But Finnegan seemed good. He seems like my kind of dog. He seems like my kind of dog. It's like I wanna talk to you. I'm gonna come talk to you, and you're gonna stay in your place.
Yeah, he's pretty good so far. You can see he's good to people. He's now hanging out in his crate. He's quietly chewing his little stick, and things are good so far, but got to raise them right.
Some riveting conversations you guys are having.
Isn't this good? This is what the listeners want to know about.
Well, here's one thing about dogs. I am not. So even though I grew up with dogs, I am not a dog. Well, no. Even though I grew up with dogs, I am not a dog person. I don't give a shit about someone else's dog. I don't want to play with your dog. I don't want to touch your dog. I like my dog, and that's it.
Samson,
this is of interest to nobody but yourselves. This is the off-air stuff that doesn't warrant any.
This is what the fans are.
This is always the first minute of the podcast. We get into the minutia of our lives, and then we
it's a throat clearing.
But this is you're looking up at the minutia of your lives from here.
Well, let me ask you this, Sam, our guest. You have any dogs? You got any dogs?
I have no dogs.
No, you don't
Just
have
emotional support snake.
I don't even have a plant at this point, right? I have an emotional support coffee. That's what I have.
Sean, what's going on in the world of Will Shawn Podcast?
Want to thank everyone for listening. Make sure you have subscribed to us on iTunes. Give us a star rating. Leave us a little review. Follow us on Twitter. Like us on Facebook. And just want to make sure you're also listening to the other shows on the Jukebox Podcast Network. Check out the fine lineup of programming that they have available to you.
They got the brand new show.
Yes.
Being There.
Yes. Starring Peter Sellers.
Yeah, and it's got, it's like an interview storytelling show, like kind of a deep dive. And a former guest of our show, Minimus Maximus, does a real deep dive into growing up in a cult.
That's right. I do recall hearing that story.
But this is like a real deep dive into it. So if you liked him, if you like the teases of it on our podcast, go listen to it on cult? Being There. It was like some weird.
What's like upstate New York?
Upstate New York cult.
Yeah,
I don't
Seneca
recall
Falls.
the name off the top of my head, but he grew up in this cult, and then they had to.
Were they in Oregon or something?
No, well, they had to escape, and they were traveling around the world because they were wanted, and yeah. Who's our sponsor this week?
She's widowed. She's in her 60s. She teaches 6th grade social studies, and now she's packing heat. Coming to theaters this summer, it's Mrs. Miller. You better learn your state capitals, or else.
It's great. My mom's a teacher. They send her down to the gun range now.
Now, does she have to buy her own, or does she get like some reclaimed gang guns?
They reclaimed gang guns.
There.
They take them from MS-13 gangs, and they give them to our teachers, to our educators who can't operate overhead projectors.
What if you're homeschooled? Is it guns for governesses?
Yeah. On the show this week.
Big Jane Eyre fan.
On the show this week. Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah. We'll get into this story eventually.
It's a story I kind of wanted to get to, even though it's a little old. But Quentin Tarantino put Uma Thurman in an unsafe car.
Yeah.
We've got something to say about it.
Okay.
The Olympics happened. Did we watch? Did we care? Does America care? We'll get into
the luge, the unsafest car of them all.
And, I've been sleeping on the same mattress for 12 years, and they say you're supposed to change it every 8 years. So I made a big change recently.
You turned the mattress around?
It's going to be a problem. We will discuss. But first, you have heard him already. Not just moments ago, but he is a returning champion to the show. He's a terrific storyteller and a great all-around guy. Maybe. Sam Feirstein. Stein. Did I say Steen?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Well, to be fair, you are used to saying Alex Stein.
That's probably what it is. And how often do I say your
Feirstein. Yeah. So that, your argument holds no water.
Listen, let's not talking about things that hold water at this
I
table.
have said your last name out loud exactly one time, and it was the last time you were on the show. So, forgive me, Sam, who I consider a friend.
Sam F.
But it's great to have you back on the show.
Thank you. It's great to be back here.
And I had seen you recently, and you had said, like, hey, I'd love to come back on the show. And I was like, well, yeah, we'd love to have you.
It's only been 2 years.
I mean, Obama was president last time you were here.
It was a very different world.
It was.
Liz living in a different world. So what have you been doing these last 2 years?
And scene.
Your sister?
If I had a sister, I would be proud for her to
lied.
Be with you. Yes. I like the idea that there's a woman out there maybe going through the storytelling scene as Willing's sister, just sleeping with all the people in the storytelling scene in Los Angeles.
Oh, God, that's... Sharon Stone had that old quote where she said, it's really easy to sleep your way to the middle. This is the saddest version imaginable of that.
The niche storytelling scene in Los Angeles.
So that's how I met you, through the niche storytelling scene in
Yes.
Los Angeles. And when you were on here last time, we were talking a lot about that. Have you been doing a lot of shows since then? Are you doing a lot of?
I mean, normally, yeah, I'm usually doing a lot of shows. I try to book out as many shows as I can per month. In the last couple of years, I've been doing tons of shows, radio. Since I was here last, I performed in New York. I performed in Toronto. I've been getting around.
Were these at like storytelling festivals, or were these at one-off shows, or were you doing solo stuff?
One-off shows.
Okay.
Like, things like that. They weren't festivals. I haven't really investigated the storytelling festival circuit yet. I know that it's out there, and in the past when I looked into it, they didn't really have a venue for the kinds of stories that we tell. It was more people who take on characters and are presenting other works of fiction
Really?
by characters. Yeah. You know how that goes, right? Where they're like in a costume and they take on a voice and they
It's
sort of like act out.
Hal Holbrook is Mark Twain.
I think it's somewhere in between what we do and what it's much closer to Holbrook as Mark Twain.
Okay.
I think Val
this a
Kilmer
government?
has now taken on that role.
Yeah, Val Kilmer does
Mark Twain's turning into like the KFC. When's Reba McEntire going to take on Mark Twain?
No, but think about like Val Kilmer. He has played everybody.
Yeah.
Right? He has been Batman. He has been Jim Morrison. He's been the Saint.
Mad Mardigan.
Yeah, Willow.
Yeah, Willow, right? But
He was real genius.
he was Iceman. He was real genius. And now Mark Twain.
Val Kilmer's had quite the.
Who do we want to
career.
see do Mark Twain?
Not the.
Who thinks about that?
Yeah, like,
This is gonna bother. I was gonna say Kevin
This is gonna
Spacey, but
bother you?
I don't think Kevin Spacey's doing Mark Twain anytime soon.
but you know what? That might be the perfect role for him. All of a sudden, he comes back as Mark Twain. No one knows it's him. He's in the Mark Twain.
No,
makeup.
because we all still love Mark Twain.
Yeah.
They won't.
A few years ago, I was in, I think it was Virginia City, and which is this old west town up in the mountains above Reno.
Yeah.
And
A Michael Curtiz movie,
What?
Virginia City.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like a Western from the 40s.
Yeah.
Continue.
Okie doke. And but it's this great place, and it's got the wooden sidewalks and the old buildings. And one of the buildings there that we walked into, because we were having dinner at the old Dewdrop Inn or whatever it was, we
Brothel.
walked across the street, and we're in this ballroom
Yeah.
that's sort of like it looks like the gym from Hoosiers. And it shows all the people that have performed there over the years. And it was a wedding was breaking down, and so we went in and looking on the up on the wall was this plaque that was Mark Twain used to stand there and read his works to an audience. And it was pretty amazing to go, oh, wow, I'm standing in a place where Mark Twain performed.
No, that is pretty cool.
I thought you were going to say Val Kilmer.
Okay. One day I'll go to a place where there'll be a plaque that says Val Kilmer once performed as Mark Twain.
Oh, my God.
When you're in the Akron Community Theater.
You
You really thought that I was going to say Val Kilmer.
I didn't know where this was going.
Val Kilmer.
Listen, he played Jim Morrison. He played the Saint. He played Iceman. He was Mad Marty. He was Batman. Man's had a career. He was in Heat.
He was in Heat.
Yeah.
Because he's been in everything.
Yeah.
He's been in everything. He was Elvis in True Romance.
That's right.
He has played some of the most iconic characters, but then he's never really made it over the top.
Well, that's what's so interesting, and I've never thought this much about Val Kilmer, because I think I've taken for granted that he has played so many iconic figures, and yet he's not iconic himself at all.
I think Val Kilmer may have some personal issues that kept him maybe from getting to the level that, he would have.
What have you heard?
Every celebrity on that level has personal issues. Name me one that's well-adjusted, great.
Haley Joel Osment.
Tom Hanks? Tom Hanks seems pretty well adjusted.
Okay, one.
George Clooney.
I mean, he's cool.
Yeah.
He's thoughthtful. He's smart.
So you in New York, you do travel a lot though.
I try to.
Where have you been traveling? Not just for storytelling shows, but in the last couple of years you've been traveling.
Oh yeah, in the last couple of years I've been in where was I? I was in Italy, I was in Israel, I was in Greece, I was in Spain, New
All
York,
the sexy countries.
Hotlanta or Swamplanta.
What time of year were you there?
I was there June, July, so it was
swamp season.
Oh yeah. That was stinky.
You travel a lot overseas. I only just went overseas for the first time myself, and I am
To Catalina. It was a big trip.
now I have the bug.
New exotic places.
He's conquered the ocean.
Do you find you go to one place and it's
That
I have
wasn't
to
the
keep
real
going?
Aquaman who greeted
No.
you at the
No?
dock.
What?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Nor was that Poseidon, the Lord of the Ocean.
No. But it was a real mermaid.
It was a real mermaid.
Actually, it wasn't. It was Val Kilmer.
He's gonna play King Triton in the live action remake of Little
on the
Mermaid.
beaches of Catalina with Val Kilmer.
He lives in Malibu.
Could be true. So yeah, you've been to a lot of places in Europe. Israel, you said. Sean, you know something about Israel.
I'm familiar with country.
Are you?
Yeah,
Great.
it's a good place.
So you got nothing to
That's it?
about
Really?
this trip there? I'm trying to tee you up.
You don't want to throw
here.
any questions?
Yeah.
Where were you in Israel? Where did you?
No, be specific.
Okay.
Good Lord. Do I need to teach you how to call up YouTube and let's get some how to interview people?
Hello,
and we'll
YouTube.
show- yeah.
So Israel, that's a
Hello,
place.
YouTube. How do I interview somebody?
All right, let's see here. Israel questions. It's weird. I have this blockage about it because people get so sensitive about the country. Because I've talked to people I went to Israel. I'm like, how was it? They're like, I went to a refugee camp and I went here. And it's like, oh, you don't think very highly of Israel.
Oh, every a-hole on earth, every time I go there, they're always like, don't get shot, don't get shot.
And here's what I realized. People who know nothing about the country think that it's the... Remember the fake country we went to war to and Wag the Dog? With the donkey crossing the road and the girl with... That's what they think Israel is.
Yeah, but people only see headlines, and the only thing that sells right now is, and for years, has been clickbait, right? They're not going to report on, this is a really nice, great place with, good beaches. They say it's devastation, bombs.
It's always the rocket sticking out of the house.
Yeah, exactly. And so people just get this idea. I remember years ago, we met these Korean exchange students who It was during college, and they were afraid to leave their apartment outside of Cal State Northridge. They would go from their apartment to the campus and back, and that was it. And I was, why? And they explained to me, they go, Los Angeles, they had very thick accents. They were working on their English, but they were able to, they said that, Los Angeles, it's like Old West, people shooting in the streets, gangs everywhere shooting at each other. Everybody says when you go to LA, you must get a gun because everybody shoots. And so these poor kids were terrified to leave their apartment. They were in Northridge.
Jesus. Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's full of racist anti-Semites in Northridge and white supremacists, but still, it's like people aren't shooting on the street. But
Now
that
you go to
was the
Reseda.
image that they had of Los Angeles in the 90s that was like conveyed to these poor
Yeah,
kids.
all they see is the fires and I guess because of all the
Well,
Korean
the
shopkeepers
riots and all of those things. But still, it's like you got to keep in mind, it's like millions of people live here, and we go about our lives every day. And the same thing in Israel. It's like millions of people live there. They go about their lives, and yeah.
I was thinking about this gang thing, about how LA was portrayed back in the 90s as this gang central, especially lately hearing, and I made a joke about him before, but hearing like Trump constantly talking about MS-13 as if this is the thing we should be the most scared of in the world, which they always bring up Long Island.
Yeah.
And let me tell you what, no one on Long Island that I know is running around in fear of MS-13. But I worry about like they're building up into something that it's not.
Well, when there was the race in Pennsylvania recently, they would stir up all this MS-13 fear and as if they're running around rural Pennsylvania killing people.
They're killing the Amish.
Yeah, that's what they need to be worried
Somebody
about.
has to.
Yeah, they had it coming.
Oh God, have you seen the Rumspringa stuff?
Yeah. Yes.
Bunch of methed out.
They're big on the meth.
Are they?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about the Amish.
And the rape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about any of this.
Yeah. No. Yeah, look into it.
I know about the Mennonites.
It's pretty ugly.
Is it?
Yeah. There was. I remember a couple years ago seeing a court case where this poor girl, and it's really tough in those like closed societies.
Yeah.
And she broke out, and she, was excommunicated from the community. And when the kid who raped her was found guilty in a traditional court of law, and the courtroom was packed with Amish people and Amish women and everybody there, and they were weeping and crying for the boy, not for her, not for the victim, but for the boy. So.
These fucking Amish.
Is that the episode title?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you go around a lot. Is there ever?
What if they boycott us?
Yeah,
we'll never know.
Goody, we heard pray tell of a thing of this podcast.
Well, when they do go on Rumspringa, the first thing they do is download as many podcasts as possible to listen to.
They need to listen to Mark
They
Maron.
go on Rumspringa and they're like, because when some of their elders come back, or that's the Mormons, I don't know. But when the kids come back from Rumspringa, they go, find out for me when you go. Will Sean podcast? And so these kids, they can't wait, and they run to the nearest Apple store, and they
get a refurbished iPhone 6. And tell us, who did Chris Hardwick have on Nerdist this week?
So when you, we were talking about being scared of, gangs and stuff like that. In your world travels, have you found yourself in precarious situations? Have you found yourself in, you're walking the streets of Greece at night and they...
You get quartered by some swarthy Grecian men?
Yeah.
No, actually, the biggest problem I had in Greece was we were out on ATVs all day. We used them to drive around the island, which was an amazing way to go.
Which island were you on?
Crete.
Okay, yeah.
And I had filled up the tank in mine, and my idiot cousin who... He'll buy a ski boat and he'll book a week in Greece. He'll do these things. But then when I'm filling up the tank, he's like, no, too many euros. Just a little bit of gas. We don't need much. And I'm like, you're an idiot. And so at the end of the day, after we've been out 14 hours on these things, he's running out of gas. And I go into a restaurant to try to figure out where a gas station is. And he siphons the gas out of mine and into his. And then he takes all of mine away because I'm yelling at him. He's like, oh, no. And he's Israeli and he's got this thick accent. He's like, no, I just need a few liters. And I'm like, my tank barely holds that. And so then he drains mine, so I get more back. And yeah, so, I mean, we made it back, but...
You're like, why do you make this more complicated than it has to be?
He wanted to save like €6.
Yeah.
I mean, Sean,
But yes, I have, but I've gotten myself into very serious trouble on my travels.
Do you tend to travel by yourself, or do you go with someone? This trip you were with your cousin? Or?
Well, my cousin lives in Tel Aviv, so I was, actually he doesn't. He lives in like the Chatsworth of that area.
Petah Tikva.
Rishon LeZion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't...
It's flying halfway around the world to like hang out in Chatsworth. It was awful. I hate his neighborhood.
It's so boring. I know exactly what it
There's
is.
nothing there.
Yeah.
So I never spent any time there. But no, I mean, I got into a very precarious situation in Egypt twice. 2 different precarious situations. Trying to think where else I had trouble.
what was precarious about it?
You don't know.
I've been to Egypt. I've gotten into precarious situations.
Yeah, not like I did.
Okay, probably not.
I don't know.
You don't know what happened to me.
I don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, then I'm not going to tell you.
Okay.
Oh, gee. Well, now.
No. I was trying to get trying to take a joke photograph. Like it was like something that was going to take 5 seconds to happen. And it got me surrounded. And I was doing nothing to no one. I wasn't trying to cause a scene. I wasn't doing a scene. I wasn't doing anything other than laying on the ground. And when I opened my eyes, I was surrounded by half a dozen members of the tourist police who were pointing locked and loaded fully automatic assault rifles at me.
Oh, just like the teachers have now.
Yeah, much like our teachers will have in the future. And except these guys didn't have any tack gear on. They had sashes.
So they're prom kings.
They looked pretty cool. I mean, honestly, the outfit was good. But they were all, because I didn't realize it at the time, but from their perspective, all they saw was a body on the ground and a backpack, which not so good.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All you're trying to do is take a picture of you putting your finger at the top of the pyramid, so it looks like it's poking you.
That was way too cliche. I've never taken one.
Jerking off the Sphinx.
Oh my God.
Is that a thing people do? Do you have photos of
those of
jerking
you
off
listening, whatever hellhole you're in, Sean actually had to make the hand motion, and I can't unsee.
You don't want to find out why he has no
I can't
nose.
unsee the look on his face. And
Napoleon got his nose.
I think we need to take that doggy rescued away from him.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't be raising a dog with these the way you're treating a Sphinx.
Sphinx is very mysterious.
So let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
Got anything to plug?
Yeah.
Okay. Working on something?
Plenty. No, I have nothing to plug. You purposely asked that to just sink me.
Well, no. I mean, I have to ask. I have to. Maybe
You're supposed to be the nice one.
I am the nice one. But you got like Twitter feeds. You got places people can find you.
Yeah, I changed my Twitter handle yesterday.
Okay. Oh, okay.
To at. I'll probably change it back by the time this thing airs, but I'm now at Confucius Aesop.
Okay. Oh, this is Is this a whole new Twitter persona?
No. I just I was in a text thread with people, and I made some joke, and I called myself Confucius Aesop, and then said, "Oh, that's my new rap name."
So is it CONFUS, and then is it CIUS?
You'll have to look at mine.
Okay, Confucius.
I don't even remember.
Question mark.
Is it? Let me ask this: is it tricky to change?
I never tweet. I will retweet other people, and I will tweet out when I'm in a show.
Is it? Well, that's reason enough to follow Confucius Aesop.
That and the blazing hot mixtape.
Is it just hearing you say that once? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna change it. I'll change it now. Because also, if I don't have it be my name, then that piece of crap, Oscar Sagastume,
Yeah.
will then just take at Sam Feirstein on Twitter the same way he stole my name. And
Oh yeah, let's talk about this. Oscar Sagastume. He's always stealing people's domain names.
BrandonBurkhart.com takes you to Oscar's page. SamFirestein.com takes you to Oscar's page. Yeah.
Listen, the man's got 4 kids and a dog. He's got to make money.
So
somehow.
we can't tell our listeners to go to your website because your website is Oscar's website.
Yeah, it's Oscar's website.
It's pretty good.
I mean, I'm sure I could. Well, I don't know if I could get it from. He loves to torture people, so.
Yeah, good guy, then.
Oscar.
Yeah, we were actually texting earlier. He is a buddy of mine, but he is a piece of crap.
Okay, so new Twitter.
Confucius. Oh, Aesop, like Aesop's Fables.
Yeah. What did you think I said?
Like ASOP, like it was a abbreviation for something. Like thought or ASAP. You said it was a rap thing. I don't know. Some white Jewish kid from the suburbs.
So Sam,
oh my God.
you want to talk about some pop culture with us?
This podcast is such a. Last time I was on here, I was really sick, and when I heard the podcast back, it just sounded like I smoked like a pack of Lucky Strikes on my way in.
Yeah.
And now this is. I was hoping for redemption on this one, but we're not.
It's not over yet.
No, we're not getting it.
No, this is.
We're not getting it because this is one of the looser episodes we've ever done. If I'm to be
and to the listener, we are not drinking.
Not good. That's not good.
But that's why we wanted to have you on. We wanted to have you on just to bullshit with us and just to be a fun breakdown of the topics of the week because. That's
of which we've not done, and our topics aren't even of the week.
No, they're not.
They're not of the week. They're old.
They're old, and we're always a week behind. That's the problem with the show.
So they're going to be even older.
Yeah, but the thing is, your takes are so hot that they will remain hot a week later.
You think that's gonna?
Yep, I think that's gonna entice the people. Well, let me ask you this: if the people do, is there a place you want us to direct the people to about you, for you?
Away from this podcast, anywhere away from this podcast.
Fair enough. We'll just go to your Twitter handle.
We'll just go to Oscars.
Let's go to OscarComedy.com. So, Sam,
who's that?
These are more of our trusted volunteers who are going to keep our world safe. So, yeah.
Now this is riveting podcast.
Yeah, this is riveting.
We're looking about it. White guys with dudes with assault rifles.
So, I did.
You're going to edit this, right?
Yeah, I'm going to tighten it up.
Great.
Yeah.
I definitely need to get rid of 9 minutes at the front end of the show.
So, the one topic I did want to get into that is a little old, but it's something that because we had taken a week off and then we did our Oscar pick episode.
The ozone layer. Let's get at it.
Yeah, we're going to save the environment.
The hole in the ozone.
Movie review of An Inconvenient Truth Part 1.
When the whole Weinstein thing went down back in October.
Okay.
And then
has it been that long?
Yeah. Then basically every episode of this show dealt with the Me Too in that in some way.
The rapist of the week.
Yeah, that's what it became. And be like, oh yeah, this guy we all like. Not that we ever liked Harvey Weinstein so much, but this guy you loved, yeah, he's a piece of shit too. And we kept doing that.
Who were some of the pieces of shit that you used to love?
Kevin Spacey.
I always liked Kevin Spacey as an actor. I mean, I'm not going to pretend I'm like, he was like, it's not like he was a hero of mine or anything. I mean, I kind of knew the stuff about Louis C.K. already. And I still went to go see him. So
wow, really? You did?
I'm the hypocrite.
What was that guy at the Bill Cosby?
Why would you still go see him after you already knew that?
Well, I mean, I guess I didn't. I guess it was still just rumors. But I was like, yeah, that rumor probably is true.
But how many people... See, this is the huge problem I have, is that nobody really cares until they have to.
No, it is a problem.
And I remember 5 years before the Cosby story broke, I went and saw Bob Newhart. I drove out to one of the desert casinos and saw Bob Newhart perform, and it was amazing. And I was checking off like classic people off of my list of everybody that I wanted to see, and the only one left had been Cosby. And I told a buddy of mine about it, and I said, yeah, next up is Cosby. I have to go see him. And he goes, oh, what, you like rapists? I'm like, what? He goes, oh, yeah. Cosby's been like drugging and raping women for 30 years. Everybody knows. And he starts telling me all about this. I'm like, how do you know these things? And keep in mind, this is 5 years before the story broke.
Yeah.
And he comes from a family of entertainment attorneys. And none of them ever worked within that with Cosby. They never worked with Cosby, but they had heard all of the stories. They had been filtered through. And, it's not like they could do anything about it because they weren't involved. But he told me that from that moment. And Cosby was one of the people I loved growing up.
Yeah.
I had a bunch of his albums. I watched his early shows. I even, watched everybody watched the Cosby Show.
Yeah, I grew up on that.
I saw his stand-up specials. Like, he was brilliant comedian. And as soon as I heard that, there was no way I could ever go. And then, because I really, really pressed him on it. And then when I saw that Cosby was playing, somewhere within a couple of hours of Los Angeles, I remember thinking, maybe, and I was like, I can't, not in good conscience, even though the story hadn't broken yet.
Well, I guess and you saw Louis.
Yeah.
I guess in
Seen him twice, actually.
fairness.
Before or after?
Before all this. Yeah.
Well, it's all before.
Well, I know, but I didn't know, like, the first time I saw him, I didn't know about any of this.
Well, I mean, I'd heard rumors about this. And I mean, to be fair, also the Louis thing is weird. I can't believe I'm saying it's weirder than rape. I mean, rape's horrific. And what Louis did was terrible. But I guess it's the kind of thing that you don't quite understand, like, well, what is he accused of doing? Because it's just rumors, and you don't hear things.
But how many people did you hear the rumors from?
I don't think a lot of people.
No?
I don't think.
Okay.
It wasn't something that people I knew were saying to me. It was something that, like, oh, this blind item on Gawker, and I'm like, well, maybe that's true.
Okay. Because, like, with Harvey Weinstein, everybody's going, oh, everybody knew. Like, when it came to Harvey Weinstein, I knew he was, like, this beast that you're not supposed to go up against because they would say, oh, my God, at Oscar time, don't try to go up against Harvey. So I knew he was this, like,
he's an
tyrannical
force of nature,
force when it came to producing films and pushing Oscars and things. But I had no idea about him being a sexual predator.
No, that's the same thing. I mean, I assumed he was just a monster
asshole,
but not like a monster rapist asshole.
Yeah.
And I buy that a lot of people didn't know. Like, I buy the Meryl Streep argument of why would I know about this? He needed me more than I needed him at the position of where I am in my career. This is interesting then, because your take particularly on the Louis C.K. thing, because I'm wondering how you're going to feel about this. So Uma Thurman had been talking about she had a Me Too story for a while,
right?
And that she would tell it when she felt comfortable.
Just wait for Maureen Dowd to sit down with her,
and she sat down with Maureen Dowd, and they talked about it. But the bigger thing I think to come out of this, because we already knew Weinstein was terrible, but it was something that had happened on the set of Kill Bill, in which there was she was supposed to drive in this car that she thought was unsafe. And Quentin Tarantino pressured her to drive in the car. She got into an accident. And it got covered up. Like, Weinstein helped cover all this up. Everything got covered up. She was in a lot of pain, it seems. The video's pretty upsetting.
The video's horrific.
Yeah. And, this would also explain why these two, who seemed very close, have not worked together since. And it's clearly soured her relationship with Quentin Tarantino, and as it should. And I think this brings to light another kind of abuse, and one that I think we've let slide, particularly let a lot of artists slide for a long time, which are these auteurs who we give all this freedom to, and we let them put people in risky situations. And I remember in film school almost, having admiration for stories you'd hear about. Werner Herzog's a great example. This guy's a genius, brilliant filmmaker. But you know what? he probably shouldn't have had those people dragging that boat up a mountain when the engineers told him the cables could snap and kill everybody. Luckily, they didn't. But when you hear the story, it's like, yes, because he had to get that shot. He had to. And the older I get, the more I realize, oh, that's fucking stupid and irresponsible. So let me ask you this. How do you feel about...
Wes Anderson putting his actors in storybook houses.
How do you feel about Quentin Tarantino? Maybe I don't know if you were a fan of his before. I'm a big fan of his films. But post hearing about this story and seeing that video, does it change your perception of him?
Does it change? No, and I went back and I reread the New York Times article and I reread his part on...
He did an apology on...
Deadline. He did. Well, he didn't do an apology on Deadline.
A response.
He responded, but it wasn't an apology. And the thing is, you have a lot of people on set who are supposed to be the responsible parties here. You have the first AD, you have stunt people, you have transport department, you've got the production manager, you've got a line producer, you've got a producer. There's a lot of people there who are supposed to be the responsible parties watching out for these types of things. And everybody cleared this. Now, had Quentin Tarantino in the article, he said that he went and drove the road, but he drove it a different direction in the Carmen Ghia. Now, have you ever driven a Carmen Ghia?
No, where is it?
Oh my God! Like, it is a little tiny death box. It is sheet metal. The seatbelt in this thing just keeps you from flying out of the car in an accident, but it's not protecting you. The seats are actually those half seats that they don't make anymore because they don't have the neck support, because why are all these people getting broken necks? And it's also pre-shoulder seat belts, so they're only held in at the lap. So your body, she slams forward, slams into the steering wheel, comes back. This thing is a death trap. And then they ripped out the traditional engine that was in it, the 4-speed, and they put in an automatic engine, and they said that it probably didn't go in very well. Like, how? I don't know. It just seemed like, and then she was driving the car in a different direction than they'd done all of the tests for the car, because they wanted to get the light going the other direction. And she wasn't the best driver. And so somebody should have driven that at 40 miles an hour to go through. And, it's one of those... Or
put it attached to a rig or something,
I mean, there's a few ways you could have done it, but the fact was, it was really not that safe. Now, I don't know that he coerced her to do it. I don't know that it was one of those things where they broke laws and tried to, force them in, or if it was just a bunch of people not paying attention and something bad happened because they weren't paying... The people who really should have been paying attention weren't, and nobody wanted to tell Quentin Tarantino no. When somebody's in the kind of position of power that Quentin Tarantino is, who's going to tell him no? Who's going to tell them no, especially about something as simple as driving, racing this car up the road? But it is because they're also protecting their own jobs. Quentin is going to be the guy that gets to dictate who gets to do what here. And I don't know, because I wasn't on set, and there's enough gray area in this one where things went wrong that should not have gone wrong, but nobody could really tell him no. And who knows if she was really in a position to stand up for herself and be adamant, I'm not going to do this. They said they didn't see it as a stunt, but you're driving that piece of crap little car on a dirt road or a sandy road. I mean, the car goes out of control. They're terrible little cars. I mean, I used to date a girl who had one. It was a lot of fun to drive, but I'm on good city streets, not on some back dirt road in Mexico flying along with the wrong engine.
With the wrong engine, exactly.
I mean, the most extreme examples of these things would be John Landis, in the way that he killed Vic Morrow and those two children, because if you've never read the Premiere Magazine article on it, you should go back and find it on the net and read it, because they purposely kept the family offset. They had no teacher on set, social worker on set. They manipulated their situation in order for him to get the shot at all costs, and he got his shot at all costs, and the cost was the death of 3 people.
Sean, how do you feel? Do you feel like, because I feel we don't have the same attitudes about auteur theory of filming and let's get the shot at all costs that we used to.
I think that because so many of these studios have gotten they've gotten absorbed into these larger corporate entities where there's a lot more liability, there's a lot more oversight. I think that tends to curb a lot of these impulses. Kill Bill was still kind of in it, and Miramax was still kind of running as this rogue indie project. It still happens. Look at like Midnight Runner. What was the movie?
Midnight Rider.
Midnight Rider, the Allman Brothers movie where that girl was killed on
that
set.
piece of crap was breaking laws right and left, and he was purposely doing these things and running around, because he was like his own little king. And
But that was like a small little independent film. You're not seeing, but every now and then we still have there's stunt people that die on these big studio productions, or people get really injured.
Last year, stuntman died in The Walking Dead.
But there's a difference
Between a
between
stunt
accidents happening. Sometimes a legitimate accident happens, and there's a difference between like going out and shooting on a railroad track when you do not have control of the trains. Because look, I was a line producer in television for a very long time. I was the guy who would have to put my foot down and tell people, no, you cannot do this. No, we cannot do that. Yeah. Here are the reasons why. We need to think about it. We need to go around. Now, if my bosses then pushed forward and did it, there was nothing I could do. But
would you face a lot of backlash from like creative reasons all the time?
Absolutely.
With stuff like that?
I mean, just sometimes it would be something as simple as, they call me from set somewhere and they're like, hey, we're going up in a hot air balloon. I'm like, no, you're not. We don't have the insurance for it. We don't have the rigs for it. We have nothing. It's like, do not go up there because if something happens, we're not going to be covered. Or another time where... no, I just can't remember. I'll think of it. It'll come to me.
Well, let me ask. Let's say something that's not unsafe, but for example, I'm thinking about the story about the filming of The Shining when Stanley Kubrick made who's the actor who plays the chef?
Scatman Crothers.
Scatman Crothers do the same take over and over and over again, and finally Jack Nicholson had to pull him aside and go, Stanley, you've done this like 80 times. This man's like 75 years old. You can't keep like doing this. Like you have it, So that's its own form of abuse.
Fincher does that.
But that's not abuse. Yeah. I mean, it's not. Look, there's a difference between being really abusive, and then
being willfully.
He's not being abusive. That some of these people, they get so lost in their work. Maybe they're not the easiest people to work with, but there's the singular visionaries. And this is the thing, and I'm not advocating for bad behavior because there's a lot more people out there who think that they have talent and think that they're visionary when they're just, adequate at what they do. But look at it this way. When the movie Steve Jobs came out, all it concentrated on was Steve Jobs being a bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're a shitty father and you're a shitty person and you're just a shitty guy to work for. And you go, yeah, but he changed the world. And it's that super alpha mentality, right? Because he's working with geniuses everywhere he is. He's working with them, but he is pushing people to create things that the world has never had. He's creating to push things that don't exist and trying to make it with the best user interface possible. These guys, like, history is riddled with people like this who've been, you have masses of people. Do you know how hard it is to motivate masses of people to do things? And just, it's like, herding kittens, right? And he has to keep them motivated, keep them groundbreaking, keep them pushing forward. That's very difficult. It's why we have these few iconic people and then lots of people underneath them who follow. The same can be said about Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, a lot of these kind of Tom Brady. Their teammates don't like them.
Yeah, they're maniacs.
Yeah. They're not maniacs. They work harder than everybody else. Everybody on that level is an alpha, and these guys are the super alphas. They're the ones who become that half a step better, half a degree better, whatever it is, that makes them the superstars that will go down in time because they're propelled by hunger. Now, because Kobe's a pain in the ass to play with and to be on a team with, does that make him abusive? Does it mean like we shouldn't, like the guy?
Well, Kobe's abusive for other issues. As adjudicated by the Colorado judicial system.
By the time this episode airs, maybe Oscar winner Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, he might win an Oscar for his animated short. But then, but Michael Jordan, right? Here's the guy, he won 6. It's like Jordan. You say the name Jordan, everybody knows who Michael Jordan is. And they know, people who have never watched an NBA game know who Michael Jordan is. But yeah, and they'll go, yeah, his teammates just, hated playing with him. But is that abusive? No. Is that bad? No. It's just he's the guy who's pushing for greatness.
Well, could you make an argument that if you're a professional NBA player and you've made it to a team like you, there's a certain, what's the argument here? You made a certain decision about your life, and you understand that this, you're playing a team sport. They're all there to play basketball. But when you're an actor or an actress in a film, yes, you're there to make the best product and make the best movie, but you didn't sign up to be put into an unsafe car to be forced to drive down a rickety road.
No, I'm not saying that
Yeah.
I'm saying that it looks like a lot of people failed on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if
a lot of people fail a lot of times in these things, and I'm always surprised about it. But sometimes it's like, who's going to tell somebody no?
Right. Look, I also think that
Because it's very hard to stand up and say no, and this is why. I mean, I would get hell on set all the time because I was always saying no, and people thought that it's like I'm saying no because I don't want them to get the shot. It's like, no. There are real reasons why we cannot do this.
The Tarantino thing, I think what's hurting him in the court of public opinion.
It's all the years of him being Quentin Tarantino.
Well, it's that it's getting wrapped up in
Weinstein.
in the Weinstein stuff, in the Me Too stuff, which this is a very different thing that's happened here. I don't think this. I mean, look, I'm still going to go see his next film opening weekend, but I guarantee you, in my Twitter feed, there's going to be a lot of people who are like, fuck this guy. And the other thing that drives me crazy when that happens,
but if that makes him be more conscientious on
then maybe
set,
that's a good thing.
Then it's a good thing, because it's not saying it's like it's going to curb who he is as an artist, or it's going to destroy his ability to make art, or do that. But maybe he will be more conscientious about doing certain things.
I also wonder, sometimes how much the Los Angeles bubble, or even just a Twitter bubble that I'm in, and does anybody give a shit outside of?
No, you know what I give a shit about though is I watched that car accident. I've been in several terrible car accidents, and in fact, I have a back surgery coming up because some piece of crap ran a stop sign 18 months ago and completely wrecked my life. And I'm a guy who is extremely athletic. I was supposed to, 3 weeks after the accident, I was booked to go away on a subarctic canoeing trip through polar bear territory, right? And instead, I'm at back rehab 3 days a week, and I'm doing this stuff, and it failed. It's like I have to have back surgery, right? And so I look at somebody, and I had a terrible concussion. I was on set one time, and somebody wanted to try to save some money and not use a forklift, and as a result, it's a long story, but I ended up with a concussion that put me on my back for 6 months.
Jeez.
Right? I had vertigo, I had nausea, and double vision for 6 months. I didn't know if I was going to get better. I don't know how I'll do after the back surgery. It's been painful times, and that's what people don't understand. Like this production designer and the people on set and the producer there when I got injured, it's like they're like, oh, okay, workman's comp, whatever, and they forgot about it. They don't know that I was dealing with this for months and months and months. These are life-changing situations, and that's why people don't take that into consideration, that it's like, these things have real ramifications on people's lives. So I see that accident that happens to Uma Thurman, having driven a Carmen Guillen, been on dirt roads and all that. I go, my God, thank God she survived that. She could have been killed, and that's why it's a lot of people hold culpability. And then, fuck Weinstein because he refused to release the film store. And it's really hard because he was in such a position of power back then. Who could tell him no? Who's going to tell him no? They're going to buy their way out of these things, or they're going to muscle their way out of these things. And that's terrible.
Speaking of muscles,
Really, that's a segue?
you've got to have muscles to be in the Olympics.
Drink your water.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
You
can
do
be
not.
you can be a curler.
That's true. You can be a
Curling,
curler.
the only sport where you can compete while 6 months pregnant and still medal.
Sam, did you watch?
I would say archery and shooting.
Yeah.
Those are summer.
Did you watch a lot of the Winter Olympics?
I did. I'm a big fan of the Olympics.
Oh, there you go.
And I hate the Olympics at the same time.
You mean the organization? So there's the institution of the Olympics.
Yeah,
and
the
then there's
IOC is one of the filthiest, most racist, hateful, abusive organizations out there.
Don't forget corrupt.
But you love
They're the Harvey Weinstein of sports.
so you love the sport and the competition, but just not the organization which puts it all together.
I love some of the sports.
Do you love the curling? Because let me tell you
No,
what,
it's not.
people have gone nuts about curling.
This goddamn curling, like people go nuts about it for no reason. It's shuffleboard on ice.
It's soothing to watch. I think that's what it is.
Well, I did find it a little
they had,
hypnotic.
80 hours of this stuff, and if not more. But it started 2 days before the actual opening ceremony.
Got to
They
warm up the
started it.
rock.
Oh my god!
No, here's my thing.
It's bowling, right?
Yeah.
It's not an Olympic sport. It's like if you can be smoking and getting drunk during the event you're in.
These are athletes. These are their bodies are well-tuned.
These are the
machines.
finest men and women that northern Minnesota has to offer.
Well, here's my favorite thing, though, about curling. Didn't a Russian...
Calling them athletes is like all these people in the esports community calling their guys athletes.
yeah.
It's like they're not, and they're using that designation because they can get people into the country because of the there's this
Like the visa rules.
the visa rules. But do not mistake, these are not athletes.
Didn't the Russian curler test
He was
positive?
doping.
He was doping. He's a curler, and he was doping.
He was an athlete representing Russia. He wasn't a Russian athlete.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, which is another.
Bullshit IOC nonsense.
And he still gets caught doing steroids.
Who's doing blood testing on curlers is what I want to know. By the way, you know that
clearly it's necessary.
they used to have in the Olympics, there used to be medals for painting and for sculpture and for drawing. There are going back like the 10s, the 20s, the 30s, there are people that medaled in like shooting and sculpting.
Well,
We should bring back those sports.
Let's bring back the sculpting sport. Sean, did you watch one of the Olympics?
I did not. I really didn't. Each subsequent Olympics, I seem to care less and less. It just seems like it's the same thing every year. I don't know who any of these people are. I don't know what these sports are. I refuse to get myself sucked into the NBC hype machine that all of a sudden need to care about these people.
You know who Shaun White is.
Don't care. Yeah, I also know he like abused a bunch of women. So
Geez, him too?
yeah, he's also
A bunch. What I read was one.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's okay. But I'm not saying that's okay. But no. But the thing is, this is one of the problems, right? You go, oh yeah, he abused a bunch of women, and then the next thing you know, that gets it.
Yeah.
It's like no, we actually have like let's be specific.
Okay, no, so fine. I was being hyperbolic there. I don't give a shit about really. And so you'll have these personalities that will pop up or they'll transcend this Chloe Kim. All right, very entertaining. She's very charismatic, fantastic. But I don't know what the sport is. I don't know anything about. There's two kinds of sports. There's the sports that like hockey, where there's goals, there's points, it's very objective. And then there's these sports where everything is graded by judges. I'm like, I don't fucking know. I don't know what any of this is.
Right, but
you
just
don't know what you're
because
watching.
you don't know doesn't mean it's not amazing. And what Shaun White and Chloe Kim were able to accomplish was incredible. And it's look, I could watch 10 hours of curling and not know a goddamn fucking rule of that and why any of it matters. But I can watch 5 minutes of half-pipe snowboarding and tell the difference between somebody who is heads and shoulders above the rest of the competitors like Chloe Kim was, where she was just getting massive air and doing these incredible tricks. Like you could just watch 3 different runs by 3 different people.
I guess I'm just not super interested in even watching that.
The Olympic sports are the kind of sports that I don't fully understand, but I know when I'm seeing greatness.
Yeah.
You know, like I know, like I remember in the past watching some of the figure skating or something like that, and I don't know anything about figure skating, but when you see something that truly stands out, you know it. You know when you're seeing something great.
I mean, if something really like bubbled to the surface, I'd go online and watch the clip of it, but I wasn't prepared to sit.
See,
and watch
I
it
actually really love it because I love short track speed skating because it's like the demolition derby on ice.
Is that when they're the long?
No. That's
when there's like 5 of them.
That's the tandem chase.
Okay.
I think, or chase. I'm getting the name wrong. No, but the short track, it's like the size of a hockey rink, maybe smaller.
Okay.
And it's a bunch of skaters in a speed race going around, and it's so difficult and so much fun to watch, and it's like NASCAR on ice in a sense. But again, these aren't sports that I'm going to watch year in and year out.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the Olympics, it's a chance to see them on the biggest stage. Like biathlon, I'm always blown away by, because you have these tremendous athletes doing something so difficult, which is the cross-country skiing. And then they have to slow their heart rate down enough to get the perfect shot.
Yeah.
And do this over and over and over. It's amazing to watch and to see those kind of athletic feats.
My Twitter feed.
Yeah.
It was for 2 weeks in full meltdown over the Canadian ice dancers, Scott and Tessa.
Are these the ones that will they, won't they?
Yeah, these are the
I
ones.
only heard about them yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
These are the ones who I've been the most exposed to, because every 2 seconds there's a GIF in my Twitter feed of them doing some, pretty erotic ice dancing.
It's like Blades of Fury, or what was the...
Blades of Glory.
Blades of Glory, yeah.
I mean, it's really, like, I get why, but it's funny because this is one of those storylines I think...
It's like too sexy.
Who don't get into the Olympics.
Did they win the gold?
They did. And they have to find a way to, like, find a story there. So the will they, won't they, like the Ross and Rachel or something.
And how I discovered them was a guy on Twitter yesterday tweeted this thing, and people were retweeting it. It was really funny. He wrote out all these scenarios of, like, people in Canada tuning in for like the will they or won't they episodes, and like it's a reality show of every week they have them working in another place, and everything's like a double entendre.
Yeah, I mean, apparently they had a reality show in Canada.
Oh, really?
They did. Apparently, Canadians have known and loved these two for a long time, but now they've clearly hit the. And
But here's my question for you.
They had to take stuff out of their routine because it was deemed too
sexy. Too sexy.
Including the whole thing where she basically jumps on his face and spinning around with a crotch in his face. I've seen the footage, and it's kind of hot.
Grainy YouTube footage from some regional competition.
But I feel bad for the significant others of these people in real life who have to put up with the whole, like, these two, this. Because, I mean, the world wants these two together. Did you watch the women's hockey?
Yeah, I love Olympic women's hockey and Olympic women's soccer are two of my favorites, because they don't have, well, now women's soccer has professional league, but in the past it would be like World Cup. I didn't really care so much about the men, because although it was bragging rights and it meant a lot to them, it was the highest these women's careers were going to go. Like, they usually ended after these games, or like in the Olympic hockey, they don't have the NHL for women. There's no WNHL that's out there. So this is where, or maybe there is, but it's not on a,
No, it's more regional.
scale.
Most of these girls are college, or a lot of them are college
they all
athletes.
come from college, but they play their guts out, and they play with such passion, because this is it. Like, this is the highest moment. There's no Stanley Cup that they're ever going to be competing for. And so they go at it like crazy. And I remember Cami Granado way back on one of the early teams. Her brother was Tony Granado, who was an LA King, and she just played her guts out. And I think that was the last time we won gold until this team.
That was the 88 team or something, right?
I think so, yeah. And this was just awesome.
I did watch a final game.
This came down to a shootout at the end. It was.
Oh yeah,
it was an amazing shootout.
It was really great, and especially because the U.S. was up 2-0, and
Yeah.
then Canada came back, and then the U.S. won it. And I tell you this, like, I do not blame that woman on Canada for pulling the silver medal off of her. It's like all these a-holes get offended. It's like, the problem is you don't win silver in that situation. The people who won the bronze, the team who won the bronze, they won bronze because they had to win their game to win the bronze. But when it comes to the silver, it is you just lost, and you lost in
and it's right that minute. Yeah.
Oh, you lost that minute in sudden death or in the shootout, and it is incredibly emotional. And it's like, she took it off. Of course, I'm sure in time it'll come to be okay, or she'll process it. But in that moment, also keep in mind, she's 20 years old.
But she already has some of these girls already have 2 or 3 gold medals as well.
Right, but again, it's like when you live and you work that hard for all of those years to come here and to do that, then it's like emotionally, it's going to be a brutal experience to lose like that.
The Canadians, they lost the women's ice hockey and they lost curling, like their 2 national sports. I'm surprised the government hasn't, Trudeau isn't going for a no confidence vote.
Only one's a sport. The other's a game.
So the hockey, I didn't even know the women's hockey finals was going on, but then I started seeing it trending on Twitter, so I tuned in for the third period, and then but that's a game that's intelligible to me. Like I know what I'm watching. I understand hockey. So I was more engaged with the storyline because I can snap into it immediately of what I was witnessing. Whereas with like the snowboarding and the rest of these sports, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, see, I snowboard, but also
Yeah.
I find it very easy to get into the stories on a lot of these because it's incredible stories. And one of the things that I love about sports that's present nowhere is when you know the story and the incredible drama that can take place. Because in sports, anything can happen, right? I'm a writer. I write all day long. Yeah. There's a structure. There's a way. And we, as every time we're watching a movie or reading a book or watching a TV show, we're always looking, what's the twist going to be? What's the reversal here? How are they going to, close this gap? What are we going to come to in the story? And because you can anticipate what's going to happen. But in sports, anything can possibly happen. Absolutely anything. And so you get built up on this drama. It's these days maybe the most purest form of drama, because it's happening before our eyes.
Sean, was there anything else from the Olympics that stood out to you that you wanted
Shirtless Tongan. This guy, do you know the story about this guy? He was, no, but do you know, so he was in the
we had two, very different Olympic experiences.
No, so this guy.
This is the great thing about the Olympics. There's so much programming.
He came out of.
We watched completely different winter games, and I have no idea what you're talking
Shirtless
about.
Tongan was a summer Olympian that represented Tonga, and I don't remember what sport he played, but when he did the March of Nations.
Yeah, I remember that.
So,
2 years
he became
ago.
some viral thing. So this guy said, you know what? I got a thing going here. He went and he started training to become a cross-country skier. There's no snow in Tonga. And he went and he competed and he did all the qualifications and he qualified to be in the Winter Olympics, even though he knew that
was he the only Tongan?
Only Tongan representing Tonga. But this guy,
How did he do?
No, he got last place, but at least he went and put the work in to qualify and did the competitions.
Yeah, I don't buy that at all.
Guy's working on his brand, that's why.
Yeah, because right, he's working on his brand, and he's a gimmick. It's shtick. It's and that's.
But isn't that the pure? But that isn't the pure sport.
No, that's not. That's not the purity of the sport. That's what I hated about that woman.
The Hungarian.
Oh yeah.
Elizabeth Sweeney.
This is an amazing story.
No, this is a horrible story because this is somebody who went out and tried out for everything.
Yeah.
Right. She tried to be an ice skater. She had no talent. She couldn't do it. She tried to become a Raiderette, and she had no talent.
She ran for governor of California.
She ran for governor of California. She just wants. She's unfit for any of these things, and she gamed the system. And you watch an interview with her, and she's like, "I followed the rules. I trained really hard. I'm here to progress the sport and get better." It's like, you're not progressing the sport at all. You're not doing anything. You watch the Olympics on TV and you want that. And you have no talent. The barrier for entry on this is, are you an exceptional athlete? No. Do you have exceptional talent? No. How else can I get in? I will game the system, and I'm from the US, but first I'm going to go for Venezuela. And then that doesn't work out. So, then my mom's parents were from Hungary or something. And so she games that. And they never even, Hungarians, they were horrified, the government, when they saw her, what she did.
This is the worst thing the Hungarian government's ever done.
And here it is. It's because people with incredible amounts of talent, when they're, don't game the system and can't get in because there's other people who have a better run than they do, make it in. I mean, there was the one guy who was in the freestyle half pipe who won, right? His bindings blew on 2 pairs of skis on his first 2 runs, and then he scores this amazing run on his third, and it's just an incredible run that he had in the half pipe. And then you see this girl; she comes in, and it's like,
lazy use.
I see kids at Big Bear who go and hit the park and could ski circles around her. She's terrible. I was on her Instagram earlier. I was watching her training videos from, doing the things. It's great. But you know what she was doing? Adult fantasy camp. She was doing that thing where it's a bunch of 40-year-old dentists will go to the minor league baseball facility where they get to play with a bunch of retired baseball players for a week, right? And so she's doing this, but she's doing it at the Olympics. And it really cheapens the experience, because if there's one thing that we just don't need is somebody who is unfit, somebody with no background in this, who is completely would you want somebody flying a plane, full of passengers who just saw like a plane on TV and went, "Oh, I want to do that."
Wasn't that the Catch Me If You Can guy?
Yeah, but he never actually flew the planes. But then say, would you want, this is a reality show person.
Yeah.
Maybe being president of the United States.
I see
Right?
what you did
You
there.
see, completely unfit, has no reason. Have they held public office before? No.
Biggest electoral victory in history.
No. No, it's not. But that's the problem is it's like we have devalued everything. We're now, since there's no barriers of entry, much like this podcast, there's no filter. There's nobody keeping us off the airwaves and we can go on there. But she has gamed this system and so many people, it's like reality TV removed the barriers for entry, and where it's like everybody feels entitled, I want to be a celebrity, I want to be a celebrity, I want to be a celebrity, and they think that they're interesting, or they think that they have something to say, or they think that they have talent, where it's like other people working themselves to death to get there. And she might have put in work to get there, but she absolutely gamed the system. And it just cheapens the experience for everybody.
I would ask the question, how does a woman like that sleep at night?
Oh, jeez.
Which
Oh, she really?
to
Your segues are the worst.
We're not.
I don't know what's worse, the look you're giving me when you want me to shut up already about whatever I'm ranting on, or you wanting to.
I had that segue. I had that.
You're like tapping your phone. You're showing.
That segue popped into my head. I'm like, I gotta hold on to the segue. I gotta hold on to the segue.
Well, we're glad you.
But you don't
did.
even comment back on anything I'm saying. You're just.
Well, because I agree with everything you're saying.
Yeah, but you don't even say that. You just give me a dirty look. You're like, I want to get to my segue.
That segment was killing him.
It was eating away at me.
How do you sleep at night, Will? That's the question I have. I want to know, how do you sleep at night
Well, I'm glad you asked me
with
that.
the things that you've done?
I'm glad you asked me that because I'd been sleeping very uncomfortably, and I couldn't understand why. I was like, and I said, I realized, oh yeah, I've been sleeping on the same mattress for 12 years. Why? Because I don't want to go spend like $1,000 and get a whole new bed or something. This is gonna be too much. But now, I realize I have to do this. I have to buy the mattress. So, President's Day weekend apparently is a big mattress weekend.
When you say you weren't sleeping well, were you tracking your sleep? Do you have a Fitbit? Do you have one of those things which it says how often do you wake up, you fall asleep?
Nah, I track
Are
nothing.
you sure you're not suffering from sleep apnea where maybe it's not the mattress, but you might just stop breathing while you sleep and you might die?
Well, if I die tonight in my sleep...
I get a brand new mattress.
Well, no, it's not the mattress.
No, it wasn't the mattress. Because I went out and I had to buy a new mattress. And you know what? It hadn't occurred to me since... It occurred to me, I'd never bought a mattress before. I had never gone to a store
old are you?
and bought a mattress. I am a 38-year-old man. But for the last 12 years... I've been sleeping on some mattress that was just ordered from a store the day I moved to Los Angeles. And before that, I slept in a bed either in a shitty dorm room in the city or at my parents' house. So I had never thought of mattress shopping. It's like, remember used cars? Remember the movie Used Cars? These are what the mattress people are like now. You go in there, and there is this guy greeting you like a used car salesman, even dressed like a used car salesman. And they use technology. You talk about technology. They scan your body now. They put me in this whole system, and then they made me sit on like 6 different beds. Guess what? They didn't all feel that much different. They have to explain to me. They showed me a video. About where the pressure on the mattress and how it affects my body. I had to lay down on a million probably dirty pillows. Like, oh, here's a pillow. Laying on this. I got my face buried in. Why? Because I sleep on my stomach. So now I have to lay down with my face down on a pillow and my ass up in the air while all these guys are explaining to me what's going on with this bed. And I get the thing into my home. It's gigantic.
What was the difference between the mattress you chose and other mattresses that were running a close second?
There were 2 mattresses that were running very close to each other. which turns out apparently and maybe it's just that I'm used to it, I prefer the spring mattress, which I said, this doesn't seem right. Isn't this other mattress the better technology? And he goes, your body seems to prefer the spring. Does it? I don't know.
What was the other technology?
It's some more like kind of foam thing.
Was it memory foam? Or was it a combination of foams?
I think it might be a combination of foams, combo foams. But they weren't as comfortable. I guess I need something a little firmer. So I get this new mattress. They bring it in. Oh, I know what the difference was. The mattress I got felt cooler. It felt cooler to my body.
The memory foams can retain heat and heat up a little bit and be warm.
There you go. I need a cool mattress. They bring this thing in, but guess what? You're right. Maybe I am going to die in my sleep because I'm still not sleeping great. Now I'm questioning everything and all this money I've spent on this stupid giant mattress.
Spend?
I actually got a pretty good deal. It was only a little over $1,000. But I got a new frame. I got some new things.
Wait, you got all that for the $1,000?
Yeah.
Oh, so you didn't get a grand mattress. Yeah, and honestly, like a really good mattress these days, you're looking at least $2,000 to like $4,000.
Well, who can afford that? And that's why you, the mattress industrial complex, are this week's enemy of the podcast. Go fuck yourself, because who could be spending $2,000 on a mattress? Who can afford this? And guess what? Nobody sleeps good anymore because of issues we've already brought up on this podcast. We alluded to before about Trump. Nobody sleeps good anyway. That's the real reason nobody sleeps. Doesn't matter what mattress you have. As long as he's president, no one will sleep. You should have got one of
those Casper mattresses they advertised on the podcast.
No, I'm not getting a mattress out of a box. I needed people to come and take away my old mattress. Because what was I going? I was going to
throw in your courtyard.
You come over and drag the mattress out to the street with me.
Yeah. We can ride it down the steps.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Are you happy with your mattress, Sam?
No, and in fact,
maybe that's why you're having back problems.
Years ago when I bought my mattress, I went to stores and I looked around. Then I went to this one store and I tried one out, and it had the pillow top on.
That's what I like. I get the pillow top ones.
Well, when I've been in hotels and they have that, it always felt great. So I was like, I'll take this mattress. And the first night I had it home, I woke up in the middle of the night. My body was throbbing in pain. Like I'd never felt this kind of physical pain head to toe. The mattress was crippling me in my sleep. So I called the store. This is back in the dark ages when they said you have 5 days to return this if you don't like it, and you get one option. And so I returned it for the same version of the mattress, but without the pillow top. And they were pissed too. It's not like the friendly days these days where we'll swap it out, no problem. And
they're like, how are there stains already? You had it for one night.
No, but I think I had it for 4 days and it killed me. And then I've had this thing and it's really firm. It's just not good. And it's gotten worse over the years, and I need a new mattress, and I've been talking about it for 2 years. I always forget. I hate shopping. I despise shopping. No, I don't care what it's for. If I'm shopping for a car, clothes, computer, mattress, I have like 40 minutes that I can shop, and then I can't do it, and I just get up and leave. I'll be in the middle of trying on clothes, and I just get up and leave because I can't do it any longer. So it finally dawned on me, oh, right, a mattress a few weeks ago. So I went to one mattress store, laid on a bunch, didn't really like any, and left and forgot about it until you mentioned it.
You might have to go back. I feel like eventually...
Will's got a guy now, though. Will's got a mattress.
I desperately need a new mattress.
But it was crazy to me when I walked in there. It was... The last time I experienced like a salesman like this, it was...
Because they didn't
I went to sit and sleep.
Oh, okay. Because wherever I went,
Larry.
Yeah, and they talked about Larry. They were telling me about Larry. Well, you know, Larry wants his good. I said, I don't care.
Did you?
Larry's
ask him,
real.
Have you met Larry?
Yeah,
I didn't.
Larry, it's like going to McDonald's and be like, you know, Ronald recommends us.
Open your Instagram. Show me you with Larry. Don't call Larry to me unless you met Larry.
But I mean, it really was like the salespeople came at me. The last time I remember salespeople coming at me like this way was buying a car.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
So when I went mattress shopping with Uri years ago, we went to a couple places, and it's the same thing. We just you sit on a bunch of beds and go, I don't know. We finally walked into one place. We didn't like the first two places we went to. There was another place in Culver City, and there was one dude working there, and he just took his time and just explained things to us, and we're like, all right, let's just buy from here. It really didn't, at that point, it didn't fucking matter. It was just that he was being informative and he wasn't treating us
the woman who helped me out, she was great. She gave me all the information on each one, explained all the differences, told me what the pluses, the minuses were, all those things. But none of them felt great.
Well, they have the monopoly over they have the information monopoly. So
they also, it's...
I don't know what that means.
That you don't know anything about mattresses. It's just like... they can spit any data, any facts, it's such an overwhelming experience. This comes with, like you said, this comes with each kind of springs.
Yeah, I didn't know what any of these
they just
features
kill
really
you with
meant.
jargon, and then you're
It's like,
I don't
okay,
know.
this one is, of the 6 I've laid on, this.
Wow, you take it like it's personal. Like
I do
they're
because
withholding this information.
It's a mattress industrial complex.
It is.
Just holding
You
us back.
at home, Sean's got a very wounded look on his face with this.
It's the same way.
Like
Imagine
you
if
feel
you
worse about this than you do about today's political state.
think about it this way: if you knew nothing about cars, you went to go shop for a car, and the car salesman was just like, "Oh, and this got four, and he just
Pistons firing.
and he just starts throwing jargon at you. And I assume it's a he in this situation selling you the car. I feel like that's what they do. They just throw mattress terms at you until they break you down, and finally you go, "Well, I need a mattress." You're going to buy one eventually, so if they just keep wearing you down, you're going to spend the money.
I assume that I'm actually starting to sleep better on it. I guess all these
Since like 3 minutes ago.
Yeah.
He went home and took a quick nap. So I got a pillow top mattress, which was too comfortable. The first day I woke up, it was so soft I was having trouble physically getting myself out of bed because I felt like I kept sinking into it. And I go, well, this may be too soft, but
Well, I guess my mattress isn't very soft, and I gotta really pound it in there.
if you want, I got a couple of nieces and nephews that can come jump on your bed. For a
Oh
while.
yeah, I did not.
No.
From the action that I was making.
No, I meant come jump on your
We've come
bed.
full circle now
I
to the
meant
Michael
come
Jackson
jump on your
portion of the
bed and
podcast.
soften it up.
With that, we always like to end on a weird note, unless we have fast food news, and we got some fast food news.
I need an audio drop for this.
Taco Bell now has French fries, and I officially have tried their new nacho fries, and I am here to tell you, they're pretty much French fries. They're pretty much just French
What were
fries.
you expecting?
Well, they are seasoned, and I love a seasoned fry. But they
Don't
weren't.
talk about it like it's a great piece of steak or a fine wine. I love a good seasoned fry. You're at Taco freaking Bell.
Well, I wanted more of the seasoning. I don't think they were seasoned
It
enough.
didn't go south of the border enough for you?
What was nice though is a nacho cheese dipping sauce, which is always good.
So it was fries
With a sauce.
with like
With
cheese
like a-
sauce.
Yeah, basically. But it came in a box, a $5 box, where you get the fries.
You paid $5 for
right.
Taco Bell fries
No,
and cheese-like products.
no, it came with the fries, a cheesy gordita crunch, a Doritos Locos Tacos, and a drink.
Why
all
do
for
you hate your
$5.
body? Why do you hate
Because
your digestive
I
tract?
love Taco Bell. It's my one. It's really the only fast food I eat. But I love it.
So there's little standing between you with like one and none. You should go to the none, no fast food. And also, French fries are basically the cigarettes of food. And so you're going to the worst of the worst. Oh yeah. They're horrific. They're just a poison delivery system.
In all situations.
Yeah.
What about the fancy fry from the fancy place?
Yeah,
it's well
the
seasoned.
fancy-
I mean, no, the only kind of fry I think that would be okay is like sliced and baked, where it's like not.
Then we're talking about wedges.
Yeah, but years ago, the New Yorker did this incredible article on French fries and just why they're so healthy and or unhealthy.
Yeah, I was about to
Sorry,
say.
and it was basically like and over pages because New York articles are long and very well thought out and extremely well reported. And this thing, it was basically the equivalent of you're taking a bunch of cigarettes and placing them directly inside your heart.
Oh no.
That's what French
But
fries are.
he's not saying anything about the Doritos Locos Crunch Tacos or the spicy gordita chunk or whatever the hell it's called.
Cheesy
Taco
gordita crunch.
Bell is like all fast food is at the bottom of the chain, right? But I was in Taco Bell like the lowest of the low.
Nah, you could go lower than
Yeah,
Taco
send your
Bell.
ass to Arby's.
And on that note, Sam, thank you so
God.
much for coming back.
Thank you
on
for
the
suffering
show.
through our unstructured
Yeah.
show.
Thank God this will never air.
Usually,
Only in Amish country.
usually the men might be a little more structured, but for you, we want to do something
My
special.
name is
tonight.
Alex Stein. Look me up at OscarSagastume.com.
Where can the people, if they do want to follow you on Twitter, where can they find you?
Hold on, I have this written down.
more time.
Confucius Aesop.
Yeah, I'm going to change it back. It's
Okay,
really
by the time this
stupid.
goes up, it's
All right. Thanks so much. Do you have anything coming up? No, we already went through.
You already covered that. I have nothing. I have no career after this either. I have a back surgery coming up. That's what I have coming up. So who wants to be on my meal delivery system?
There you go. Sign up right now.
Plus to help me with my catheter. Wow,
Sean.
You can find me
I
at
should have figured
Sean
that
David.
the guy who's worried about them withholding like all the mattress information, like a monopoly
What are
on
you hiding
mattress
from me?
information, is
Telling me your secrets.
Hey, this might have been unstructured, but at least we went long.
Yeah.
Let's say that about stuff.
Well, I do have to
I
shave
don't know
9
that
minutes.
there's 5 salvageable minutes. In
I
this.
do have to shave 9 minutes off the front end.
Sean.
I think you should shave all minutes off of both ends.
At Sean David.
You can follow me on Twitter at The Real Will Link. You could also,
Michael Jackson is a pedophile.
I'm working on the brand new podcast, No Love Lost.
What's this?
It's my old co-host from my Orphan Black podcast, Megan Salinas. It's me and her. We are rewatching the series Lost. I unconditionally love the show. She hates it. We fight about it each week, talking about new episodes. We're going to record our 5th episode this week.
So much like this episode, where all the topics were already kind of old and a little bit stale, and by the time it airs, they're going to really be like Ezekiel bread after 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Good pull.
And now you're going to take a show that's been off the air for years.
Yeah, about 8 years.
It's been off for 8 years. It's been off the air for 8 years.
It's been off longer than it aired.
And you're going to debate
The merits.
the merits of...
Look, when we would do the Orphan Black show, sometimes occasionally somehow Lost would come up and people would tweet at us like, you should do a whole thing where you guys break down Lost.
Listen, just wait till he starts his Getting Down with Murphy Brown podcast.
Oh,
Hey,
well, but that's coming back. Actually, I do have a funny Lost story, but it's like, Murphy Brown's coming back, and they just announced the director today, too. So who's going to be director? Pam Fryman?
Oh, yeah. She's done, she did most of
she's
the...
huge.
Well, you know what's so crazy? And we talked about this on the show. On New Year's Eve, me and my friends launched into a whole thing about Murphy Brown out of nowhere at this party. And then Murphy Brown's coming back.
It's the Brown Renaissance.
Oh, my God.
If we knew that whatever we talked about after midnight on New Year's Eve would return,
But
we would have
everything
talked about
is
something
coming
else.
back.
Yeah.
Everything is coming back.
Murphy Brown was something that came up in context of I'd be curious to rewatch Murphy Brown because it's something I watched when I was younger, but I know I would have more of an appreciation for whatever was going on in the humor of that show now because it was so political and stuff like that.
And on that note...
Sam, thank you so much. Oh, wait, no, next week.
Oscar recap with Matt Garecki.
Our Oscar recap with
I should have been on that show.
Matt Garecki of Drunk Monkeys Radio, and he hosts their film show, and he's going to be on our show.
All right, we're going to do this. Sam, thank you so much for being on the show and for the Will Sean podcast. I'm Sean
Now
David.
let's talk about last year's Oscar flub at the end of the show.
Fuck mattress sellers.